Good morning, everyone. Myself, Ashu Sharma. I welcome you all in series of SQLite. Today we will discuss SQLite data types. So first, go with that next slide that we have SQLite data types. SQLite data types are used to specify types of data of any object. As each column and variables expressions has related data types in SQLite, these data types are used while creating tables. So it's very important that we should know and aware about the types of a data of a value for an object. SQLite uses a more general dynamic type system. In SQLite, the data types of a value is associated with the value itself, not with its container. So when we talk about the container, its data type is only that dedicated for that value itself. So types of SQLite data types. Here we have SQLite storage classes. So the stored values in a SQLite database has one of the following storage classes. As in general, we have discussed that in C programming language that auto, extern, all these storage classes that we have, static and boolean. So most of these storage classes are there, but when we talk about the SQLite storage class, the first one is null. It specifies that the value is null value. Next is the integer. Specifies the value is signed integer, stored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that. So bytes depending on the magnitude of the value. What exactly the magnitude of value depends on that. Then there is a real storage class which specify the value, and it's a floating point value stored as 8 byte, that IEEE floating point number. Then text, it specify the value as a text string stored using the database encoding UTF-8, 16, or next is the VLOB blob. It specifies the value is a blob of data which is stored exactly as it was input. So blob stands for binary large object, and that is a collection of binary data and stored as a value in the database. So it's a collection of binary data which is stored as a value in the database, and blob stands for binary large object. So by using it, it stores the documents, multimedia file formats, and images into the database. For that purpose, this blob storage class is recognized. Move to the next slide. Now, affinity types of SQLite. Here we have a note that SQLite storage class is slightly more general than a data type. The integer storage class includes 6 different integer data types of different lengths. So integer and caps, you can say it's a storage class which has that 6 different integer data types of different lengths. Now here SQLite affinity types, that this supports type affinity for columns, and any column can still store any type of data, but the preferred storage class for a column is called affinity. So there are following types of affinity used to assign a SQLite 3 database. First is text in capital letters. This column is used to store all data using a storage class null, text, or blob binary large object. Second is numeric. This column may contain values using all 5 storage classes. Integer, it behaves the same as a column with numeric affinity, with an exception in the cast expression when we talk about the typecasting type of thing. Then the real, it behaves like a column with numeric affinity, except that it forces integer values into floating point representation. And another affinity type is none, which is a column with affinity none, does not prefer one storage class over another, and do not persuade data from one storage class into another. So these are different types of affinity that we have. Now, SQLite affinity with its types name, when we talk about that integer affinity type, so data types are int, integer, teeny int, small int, medium int, big int, unsigned, big int, and int2, int8. These are data types that it covers. Next is text. So as we see here that character 20 varchar, most of time, even in MySQL, we generally try to use these varchar, varying character, nchar, native character, and varchar, and text glob. So these are data types that belongs to text. Next is none, binary large object. So no data type is specified. Real, we have real, double precision float, and again with come this numeric decimal 10 comma 5, and boolean, that date and date time. So these are different data types, and with respect to that corresponding affinity that we should remember, then we deals with the database in SQLite. So it's important to remember. It is also important for quiz purpose as well. Now in next slide, we have date and time data types. So in SQLite, there is no separate class to store dates and times, but you can store date and times as text, real, or integer values. So here we have a storage class, and here with respect to storage class, we have date format. Uh, First is text. It specifies a date in format like year, month, and date, hours, minutes, and seconds. Then we have real. It specifies the number of days since noon in Greenwich on November 24, 4714 BC. So real is here. Generally, real is something which is related to that floating point presentation. Then we have integer. It specifies the number of seconds, as we have this example. So this is that we have for date and time data types. So in this, we have Boolean data type as well. So in SQLite, there is not a separate Boolean storage class. Instead, Boolean values are stored as integer, for false, obviously 0, and true 1. So as such, Boolean storage class is not there, as I explained earlier. In C, we have studied this along with auto, static, and extern. So, and register class was also there, storage class was also there. So here we don't have that separate Boolean storage, but Boolean values are stored itself as 0 and 1, 0 for false and 1 for true. So this is from this session. In this session, we have covered data types in SQLites. We have seen all the different storage classes as null, integer, real, text, and blocks. Then different affinity types, and that represents for columns. Any column can still store any type of data, but the preferred storage class for a column is called its affinity. So preference of a storage class for a column is called affinity. So we have seen these affinity types. Then data types that belongs to that affinity with respect to corresponding affinity, we have seen that. Then we covered this date and time data types, what exactly the format it is going to use. And for Boolean data type, there is an alternative of storage. For false, it's 0, and for true, it's 1. So this is very basic, but for exams point of view, for MCQ point of view, some of questions might ask from this session. So you will be ready for that. So you have to go through once and remember all these syntaxes and semantics that we have discussed today in this session. Thank you very much. If you like this video, then please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon so you may get notification of latest video. Have a nice day. Thank you.